Everyone to session 1, what is resident language and how do I do it anyway, with Peggy Smith. We'll get started in just a bit. I've also put in the chat that if you do not want to be part of a breakout room, the instructions are in the chat to put an equal sign in front of your name. So one more minute and I'll start my script.
What do we do if we don't go into the breakout room? What happens?
You could either journal or stay in the main room, or I can make a quiet room if there's enough rooms available where you can work by yourself. We really encourage people, if you're willing and able, to go in and have that experience in the breakout room, but it's totally your choice.
So Ivy's asking, what is a breakout room? A breakout room is at certain points in the presentation, you'll be invited to go off with a small group of people to practice what I've just shared. So this session I'll be teaching, but also I'll be inviting you to practice. So it's experiential. Does that help, Ivy?
Yes, thank you.
Great.
I'm a little technologically challenged, so I was like, I don't know what that means.
Well, I'm glad you asked, because if you were like me before I met Sarah, I wouldn't have asked. I would have just sat there feeling bewildered, lost, and frightened. So when someone doesn't know something and they have the courage and the self-connection to actually ask, there's a part of me that's in awe and gratitude.
Oh, cool.
All right, it's 11:30, so I'm going to go ahead and start. My name is Lori Delaney, and I'm the tech support for today. If you have any questions or requests around Zoom, please send them to me in a chat. I might not always know the answers, but I'll certainly be able to find support for you and someone that will be able to answer your question. And when you go down to chat, you can choose private chat to Lori Delaney Zoom Tech if you want to, or also Jen. So we will keep the lines muted to support audio quality. You do have the option to unmute yourself, and please be careful to remute yourself so that the background noise doesn't interrupt or become a distraction. We will also remute when necessary. You can click on the menu at the bottom of your Zoom screen and go to the reaction panel to open nonverbal feedback options. This is where you'll see the option to raise and lower your electronic hand. So it's in the reactions at the bottom of the screen. So also on the bottom menu, you'll find the chat section, which opens another box to the right and allows you to chat with individuals as well as everyone. You can also pop this out and move it to the side if the chat takes away from your sense of connection to Peggy. You can also access these same features on a tablet or smartphone, and most will be found by swiping through the screens. If you have arrived by telephone, then you can use *6 to mute, and to unmute you would do *9. And *9 to raise your hand. So *6, mute and unmute, *9 to raise your hand. We are recording each session. Our recordings will show the active speaker view. If you do not wish to have your image recorded when speaking, then please do keep your camera off when speaking. And then for people who purchase the recordings, the time during breakouts will be edited out. So we are turning on the closed captioning, so you can choose to have your closed captioning off if that is supportive for you. If you do not want to be in a breakout room, going into a room with 3 or 4 people, please put an equal sign in front of your name. For example, equal Lori would be what you'd rename. Please indicate that now by renaming yourself with that equal sign in front of your name, so I can help set up the breakout rooms effectively. And to rename yourself, you find the 3 dots in your little box of your screen and choose rename. I want to say that Jen Franklin is here as a support person. She will be monitoring the chat. Thanks, Jen. And now I'll turn it over to Jen, who will introduce our speaker. Thanks, Jen.
Thanks, Lori. All right. It is March 24th, and we're here at the Residence Summit with Peggy Smith and her session, What is Resonant Language and How Do I Do It Anyways? And Peggy's been teaching since she was a teenager and had a lifelong passion for communication. And I've had the pleasure of being seen in resonance with her. And thank you, Peggy.
Thank you, Jen. So Jen is here both as my personal support, but also she'll be reading the chat because I am too old to teach, talk, and read the chat at the same time. So Jen will be monitoring the chat. If you have a question you would like to ask me, you can either raise your electronic hand or put it in the chat, and Jen will bring it to my attention. And thank you, Lori, for your technical support today. So I'm Peggy Smith. I'm talking to you from the shores of Penobscot Bay in Maine, USA, the land of the Wabanaki people, particularly the Penobscot Nation. And as always, I'm very grateful to be in such a beautiful part of our miraculous planet. Thank you for being here with me today. One thing I'd like you to know about my history. So as Jen said, I've been a teacher a long time. Well, since a teenager, so you can guess how many decades that is. I am used to being called any of these things. Mrs. Smith, Peggy, Mom, Dad, Grandma, Grandpa, or hey you. And I will respond to any of those, okay? So as we go along, if you do have questions or curiosities, please write them in the chat or raise your electronic hand, because I am happy to receive your question and I will track whether this is the right time to answer it or if it will be later in the session. I also want to acknowledge that we have people here from many parts of our globe, and I do have a tendency to talk fast. So if I am talking too fast for you, please put that in the chat and Jen will ask me to slow down. Okay? All right? Are you willing to give me that feedback? It will help me a lot. So this is the Resonance Summit, and some of us come and we have no idea what is resonant language. So that's why I developed this sharing. I'm going to be putting my screen share on, and then I can only see a very few of you. So do put your questions in the chat so that Jen can find them for me. All right. So I'm Peggy Smith, and this is my website. If you ever want to be in touch with me, clarityservices.us. I love to hear from people. Now, this morning, many of us got to hear Daniel Siegel. Oh my goodness. Daniel Siegel is the person who created the brain in the palm of the hand. But I missed part of Daniel's talk because I took my dogs for a walk. Jen, did Daniel do brain in the palm of the hand during his presentation?
He did not.
Oh, woohoo. Okay. So we're going to learn a little bit about what's happening in our brain when we're talking with other people, when we're being in the world. And if you're willing, you can put up your forearm, and your forearm is your spine. So this is your spine. This part of your palm, the fleshy part at the base of your thumb, is the part of your brain that does the things you don't have to think about, like breathing, digesting. It just happens on an automatic level. If you fold your thumb across your palm, this is your limbic system, and the purpose of this is to keep you safe. Now, a very important part of our brain is the amygdala, which is about where your knuckle is. It's the size and shape of an almond, and it has an important function. It is asking every moment of your life, whether you're awake or asleep, am I safe? Am I safe? Am I safe? Am I safe? If it gets a signal that you're not safe, it will ask the body to produce more adrenaline or cortisol, depending if you're going to run or fight. This end of your thumb is your hippocampus. This takes memories from short term into long term. Now, if you fold your fingers down, These fingers represent your prefrontal cortex, the part of your skull brain that's right behind your forehead. And this is where you reason, where you make decisions. If I do this, this might happen. If I do that, that might happen. What might be wise action right now? The prefrontal cortex needs oxygen to work well. But if your amygdala is frightened and asks the body to make more adrenaline or cortisol, there's not as much oxygen in your bloodstream. And so Daniel Siegel says you flip your lid. Your prefrontal cortex doesn't really flip up in your skull, but it's a metaphor, right? That your prefrontal cortex stops working. And in order to bring your prefrontal cortex back online so you can make wise, supportive decisions, we need to calm the amygdala. And this is what resonant language does. Resonant language helps calm our amygdala. Whether we offer it to ourselves, it calms our amygdalas. When we offer it to other people, it helps calm their amygdalas. Now, I don't know if you've noticed, I think I've noticed that in the last 2 years, people are a little more edgy, a little more cranky, a little quicker to lose their temper. Have you noticed that? And that is because during a global pandemic, everybody's amygdala is a little concerned. And where we might not be in a full trauma response, we're in a partial reactive state. And children, even in non-pandemic times, children who live in homes or people who live in homes where there is violence, where there's danger, they live in a slightly reactive state all the time. And then it's much quicker, easier for them to go into a full trauma response. So resonance is how we can bring more calm and ease, both to our own nervous systems and the nervous systems of others. Jen, are you noticing any questions about the brain in the palm of the hand?
Yeah, I'm helping with something else right now. I asked Lori, have you?
I
Okay,
don't
great.
see any right now. No.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Now, because we are an integrated system, not only are we working with our amygdalas, but when our amygdala is alarmed, it creates a different energy flow in what's known as our vagus nerve. And our vagus nerve starts at the base of our skull and runs down past the lungs, the heart, the stomach, through our intestines to our anus. And depending on how calm our amygdala is, our energy will flow differently in our vagus nerve. Understanding this has really helped me in my own practice, because sometimes I notice, I have a sense of fear in my stomach, or my heart is racing, or I'm not digesting well. Like food passes too quickly through my body, or doesn't pass quickly enough through my body. This can be because our vagus nerve is responding to our sense of fear. And our vagus nerve basically has 3 channels. And you're going to begin to see my art capacities for what they are. Okay. I'm going to draw Peggy. And my apologies to the artists in the group. This is Peggy doing a self-portrait. When my amygdala is calm, I am in what's called ventral vagal. This is also known as social engagement. And when I'm in social engagement, my heart rate can depend on whether I'm walking or running or sitting or sleeping. My breathing changes, my blood pressure is normal, my digestion is normal. And I can see the very sensitive, minute movements around people's eyes and mouth. We read a lot of information from the eyes and mouth of other people. But if my amygdala gets frightened, and what happens is I can, oops, if I do it that way, I'll lose one foot, so I need to try again. All right. My amygdala is frightened. My energy moves to a different part of the vagus nerve, and I'm in what's called fight, flight, and Sarah adds alarmed aloneness. This deep sense of aloneness, even when I'm with other people. This means my amygdala is frightened. Humans prefer to run if there's problems, somehow, or if they can't run, they fight, right? But if we can't do either, our bodies can go into an internal collapse called dorsal vagal. And literally we we can't stay awake. We just fall asleep or we pass out. This is a total collapse of the body. Resonance helps us move back to ventral vagal. So if no one stays in ventral vagal all the time, right? We're always moving up and down the ladder. We don't always go into a dorsal collapse. Oh, and there is a sort of positive dorsal or pleasure dorsal collapse, which is when you've had really good sex and your body just goes limp. Oh, that's a pleasurable dorsal collapse. It's not the kind of dorsal collapse out of fear, right? Now, resonance gives us choice to be as much as possible in our ventral vagal. And then we learn with practice to just notice how we are. And if we are here, we can offer ourselves resonance so that we can have more chance of being in ventral vagal. Now, there's no test at the end of this session. You don't have to remember these names. Just know that when I'm in fight and flight, I actually lose the ability to read other people's subtle messages. It's hard to read the energy that other people are putting out. And in fact, I can start looking at neutral faces and start seeing them as hostile. So this, being as much as I can in ventral vagal, helps me be present and take advantage of the resonance in the world. Yes, Lori.
There's a few questions. One, is this why anxiety and PTSD results in stomach issues in the person?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. And then there's another question. Can dorsal vagal and flight and fight happen in the same time?
Huh. If I answer that question, it would not be authentic. I don't really know the answer to that. But I think what can happen is there can be a part of us trapped in dorsal vagal. This is my experience of working with adults who were extremely traumatized as children. There's like a part of them that went into dorsal vagal. They haven't led their whole life that way, but there's like a piece of them that's trapped there. And part of Sarah's resonant work with time travel empathy and contract release helps bring those trapped parts out into the light so that they can become untrapped.
And then another question is freeze, immobilization, are they the same things?
Yeah, well, I'll give you Sarah's opinion. The last time I heard Sarah talk about this, she sort of put freeze in here, in between, like the body is frozen, not knowing what do I do? Do I flee? Do I fight? Or do I collapse? And because the collapsed dorsal vagal is limp, the body is limp, as opposed to when I'm in freeze, my muscles are tight. Okay, so I kind of enjoyed that explanation, that it's the body's indecisive of what's the wise action.
And then another question, how about dissociation? Where does that play in here?
Hmm. Uh, so I just want to say I'm an educator. So I'm not an expert on this, and it'd be really great to ask Sarah these questions. But my experience of disassociation is that it's a strategy to help cope, and it can come about when I'm here or here. But when I'm in ventral vagal, I mean, I know people who live their life in ventral vagal, but they became disassociated around certain things in their past. So it's like an element is disassociated, even though I'm coping with life in this moment, seemingly normal, seemingly present. That's my unprofessional experience. Are we okay now, Lori?
There's one more question. I don't know if it relates to now or later. Do you have any knowledge of Asperger's, ASD specifically, difficulty reading people's faces? And the second question, does pain level also cause body collapse?
Wow. Both of those are outside my area of expertise. So don't believe anything I say.
Thank you. That's it for now.
Okay. Alrighty. Peggy will go away now, and hopefully we'll move to the next slide. Go away. Oh, why isn't this moving? Here we go. All right. So resonance helps calm the amygdala and broadens what's known as our window of tolerance. Our window of tolerance is how much stress can we absorb without moving out of ventral vagal. And and our window of tolerance shrinks or expands depending on how much support we have in our life. And I have a theory that everyone's window of tolerance got a bit smaller during the pandemic. And when we receive resonance, our window of tolerance can grow. Now, the other background I would like to share before we move into the actual resonant language examples. Thinking about our skull brain, we know we have two parts. Now, I was a second grade teacher, and in second grade, you teach people that halves have to be equal. So we don't have two halves of our brain, but we do have two hemispheres. And that's because our left hemisphere is a little bit bigger than our right. And our left hemisphere, it's so interesting. The neurons, not that they look exactly like trees, but they are in rows and columns, like a planted tree forest. And Sarah's now calling this our instrumental brain. It's the part of our brain where we're busy getting things done, where we're fixing and strategizing. Teaching is from the instrumental brain. The instrumental brain learns facts, organizes facts, measures and compares. It's looking to see who's at fault, laying blame. It's also the part of our brain where we other people, where we categorize people: man, woman, child, teenager. Okay. All the different labels that we use for people to decide, are they like me or are they different than me? This is left hemisphere. And the left hemisphere often, when it gets new information, says no. So its first response to very new information is no, 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 no. And it's where our historical memory lies. This is the memory of the sequence of things. When I was this age, this happened. When I was that age, that happened. That's our historical memory. Now, the things that our instrumental brain likes to do, it likes to fix things. It likes to educate and teach people. It likes to analyze and judge. It likes to take sides. It offers sympathy and comparing and minimizing. Those are the behaviors of the left hemisphere. It's also where speech is. So I actually want to say that. It's really important. Because in order to talk, we need to order sounds into words, and we need to order words into sentences. So speech is part of the left hemisphere. Now our right hemisphere, the relational part of our brain, the neurons actually physically look different, and they stretch and reach, and they look more like the vines of a jungle instead of a planted forest. This is the part of our brain where we ask big questions that don't really have answers. Like, what's the meaning of life? Like what Daniel Siegel was referring to in his talk, where I truly have an embodied experience of not being separate from life, but actually being like a cell in life. And maybe not even a cell, because that implies a cell wall. Like there's no separation, in a sense, between me and life, which is what so many of the great spiritual teachings on the planet have tried to turn us towards. The right hemisphere is where empathy, warm accompaniment, resonance lives. It's the part of our brain where we can accept what is. It's where our personal memory lives, like how I felt about something. And it's where our sense of shared reality is, where we look for our commonalities with others instead of our separation from others. It's also where grieving and mourning lie. It's where accepting, enjoying, and real play lie. And when I say play, I don't mean organized sports, like being on a team. I mean the sort of spontaneous play where all of a sudden you're playing hide and seek, or you're just doing kind of spontaneous things and laughing and having a great time. It's where our sense of our interconnection with all of life lives, which I'm using the word spirituality to represent that. All right, I'll pause for a moment, Lori. Anything you want to ask me before we get into the heart of resonant language?
There was one question. Let me go back up and see. Is it like when your brain is trying to make sense of everything and then we intellectually process issues rather than also feel and heal?
Yeah. So that's your left hemisphere, your instrumental brain, doing the best it can. So I want to say this too about the hemispheres. We are all born with a potential. Daniel Siegel was talking about the plateau of potential. So all humans are born with the potential to talk and read. In fact, we're all born being able to make every sound of every human language. But how we're taught changes whether we keep the ability to make those sounds. So I'm going to guess that most of the people on this call can no longer make the sounds of certain click languages because we don't have practice with it. So we're born with the potential, but we lose the potential when we don't use it. Desmond Tutu used to say, we learn to be human by being with other humans. And that is how we learn to speak, by being with a certain set of humans. Now, empathy, resonance, this is also part of our innate human capacity, but someone has to teach us. And there are so many people who no longer have or who never learned, so they didn't have it to teach us. And learning resonance is what helps my right hemisphere develop it into its fullest capacity to be present for myself and others. Such an important part of the healing journey. Okay, Lori, we ready to move on?
Yes.
Great. So hopefully you will have gotten this handout somehow. I don't understand the miracle of passing documents through whatever, but this was one of the documents that I gave to Jaya to make available to you. The other was the two hemisphere document. These are different forms of resonant language. And we're going to practice many of these today. Okay. The first, feelings and needs guesses. This is the heart of a process called nonviolent communication. This is a very big topic, and we will maybe touch on it today. But if you want to know more about feelings and needs guesses, then please look in the direction of nonviolent communication. Body sensations. We're going to be doing a little work with body sensations, fresh metaphors, impossible dream guesses, poetry and poetic visuals, acknowledging what is. We're going to practice all of these. Now, I'll just say we're not going to practice swearing, because I'm going to guess every single person on this call already knows how to swear. However, I want to say this. It's important. It's not all swearing. It's swearing with the person, not swearing at the person. It's very different if I'm swearing at you versus I'm kind of looking out at the world through your eyes and sort of saying, holy shit, that is twisted, isn't it? Right? That's what helps the person's nervous system see that you get them. Right? The same with humor. I'm not making humor at the person, but looking out at the world with them and making some sort of joke about what we're looking at. All right? All right. I'm going to dive in and we'll get started. We're going to jump over feelings and needs for right now. Body sensations. I want to invite you into a little practice. And so I want to invite you, if you're willing, one, to turn away from your computer and get comfortable. Just notice how you're sitting. Notice if your body feels comfortable, or if your hips would like to sort of tilt in a slightly different direction. It can be helpful to put your feet flat on the floor. And if you feel comfortable, to gently close your eyes. But if you don't feel comfortable closing your eyes, no problem. I just suggest you don't look at your camera. And notice that you are a breathing being. So often we're breathing, but we don't pay any attention. Notice what part of your breath is most alive in this moment. Is it the air as it moves in and out of your nostrils, or along the back of your throat? Is it the rise and fall of your abdomen? Your chest rising and falling? Just allow yourself for a moment to follow what's most alive in your breath. Then I invite you to feel the sensation of your feet on the floor. Can you notice the touch of your skin on any part of your clothing? Invite your shoulders to relax and just notice what happens. Invite the muscles around your eyes to relax and just notice what happens. And after taking 2 more breaths, just gently open your eyes or return yourself to us on the screen. And if you're willing, write a little in the chat of what you noticed, if anything, during that experience. And I'm going to stop the screen share for a moment just so I can look at the chat. Slowing down, feeling calm. Notice some sadness. Noticed relaxing. Some heaviness in certain parts of the body. Noticing the tension that's there. Yeah. Thank you. And I think we spent about 2 minutes with that. Such an important part of my day to take moments in the day where I just remember that I'm breathing. Just remembering that I have shoulders and that they don't have to live up by my earlobes. In fact, sometimes I just say to myself, Peggy, relax your shoulders. And wow, it's amazing the change that can happen. Oh, sweet. Holding a 6-month-old and noticing the closeness and togetherness. Oh, my 6-month-old will be turning 49 next week. No, 39. Sorry, I made her a decade too old. 39 next week. But I remember 6 months. It's a great time. All right. Thank you, everyone. So we experience some resonance with our own body. Now, the next form of resonant language that I want us to play with is acknowledging what is. And I will say that I'm going to invite us after our talking time to go into a breakout room to practice. So you may, if you have something to write with and some paper, to write these down so that you'll remember this. We'll also be putting it in the chat. Acknowledgement guesses I find very helpful, very powerful, both for myself and for others. And the basic form is you start with one of these 3 sentence starters. Do you need acknowledgement of? Would your body like acknowledgement of? Or would it be sweet if someone understood how? And then you end it with some form of one of these. Alone you are. Exhausted, tired you are. Frightened, worried you are. angry, outraged you are, disgusted you are, torn between two trusted options that you are. And I will say that Sarah usually says torn between two authorities you are. But then I worked with a group of people who were living in a country where my interpreter said, I can't say two authorities because where these people live, there is only one authority. And that's the state. So I modified it to two trusted options. Or you might say, would you torn between your mother and your father? Right? Who are those authorities? Or how out of balance your body feels. This can often be when someone feels an unsettledness, but they're not sure what it is. And what I'm going to invite you to be doing in your breakouts is for one person to share here, I'll show it to you, then I'm going to come back to those. In the breakouts, what I'd like us to do is have one person describe a small challenge in their life. And then the other people in the breakout room to just try making an acknowledgement guess, because we're just practicing. And just to see for the first person, how did it feel? And I'm wondering, Lori, can I put you on the spot? I'm wondering if you'd be willing to share with us a small challenge in your life so that I could model an acknowledgement guess.
Well, I am the tech support in this call, and I do not have the breakout feature enabled, but somebody else is, so I don't want you to worry. But that was a challenge for me.
Oh, would it be sweet if someone understood how frustrating this is?
Yeah.
Right? So it's pretty simple. We don't have to make up too much. It's actually not about making up anything. It's about listening and reflecting back in a way, not with, oh, you poor thing, or wait a minute, who didn't put the breakout feature on, right? Trying to find out whose fault it is, but acknowledging what is. I think I want to try. Can you do that one again, Lori? And I'm going to use the word acknowledgement so that we get that practice too.
Okay. Yeah, I'm the Zoom tech for this meeting, and I can't find the breakout feature anywhere.
Do you need acknowledgement for how lonely you're feeling right now?
Yeah. My shoulders are relaxing.
Yeah, great. And if someone talks about some part of their body hurting, then, or being tense, you can ask, would your body like acknowledgement hug? And I can even do this for parts of my body that are in pain. Oh, cells of my neck, would you like acknowledgement for how tight you're feeling right now? So I'm wondering if there are any questions about what I'm hoping you'll try in the breakout rooms.
I do see a question in the chat. I'm
Right.
curious about what happens if the guess is not what's actually going on, or what the person would like to be acknowledged for.
Great. And they say, no, that doesn't land. Now, here's the most important thing. Don't panic. Don't start beating yourself up. Shit, I did it wrong. Just try to stay. I try to find my feet, stay in my feet, stay in my body, and I might make another acknowledgement guess. But we don't actually, today we're just practicing. So it's okay if someone just says, no, that one doesn't land. All right, but in the wild, as we like to say, I just make another acknowledgement guess. Yeah. or I'm going to try one of the other resonant language pieces that we're going to learn. I will say that when you're out in the wild, some people seem to have an allergy to the word acknowledgement. So that's why the third option, would it be sweet if someone understood? And the other day I was teaching this to a group of people and they had an allergy to the word sweet. They said, no, that sounds weird. But we could say, would it be nice if someone understood how? Okay. Would it be awesome if someone understood how? Would it be cool if, I don't know, I'm dating myself, but whatever is the correct language nowadays. All right.
Sarah, there's also, Peggy, gosh, I called you Sarah.
Yeah.
There's a request that you scroll to the bottom of the shared page so they can see the rest of the response steps. So I wonder if I just need to put them in the chat again, or.
So, and people weren't seeing the bottom of the, because I could see it, so I didn't know that other people couldn't. Great. Can they see it now?
Yeah. Let us know if you're still having trouble seeing what you needed to see. And I'll try and put the handout in again. Copy. So it's down in the bottom here.
So Lori, are we ready for the breakouts?
Let me do my little spiel about breakouts and then we'll check with Jen.
Okay.
So we sorted you into breakout rooms of probably about 4 people. And when we open the rooms, you'll be asked to join your breakout room. There's a countdown timer set to help you track your time. You will get a notice saying there's 1 minute left. There's also an option to ask for help in the bottom right corner. And we'll do our best to come to your room and offer support. Once you're in your breakout room, please do remember to unmute yourself by clicking on the microphone option at the bottom left corner of your computer screen. And telephone users will use *6 to mute and unmute. People find it sometimes very supportive and connecting when in breakouts if you can have your video on. And again, that's a choice. These are not recorded. We do want to bring that awareness to you on the video option so that you can have work well in your small group. So that, just know, if you find out yourself alone in a room, we'll notice it and we'll try and get people into your room as quickly as possible. So Jen, I'll let you answer if we're ready.
All right, so our breakout rooms for 10 minutes, Lori?
Yes.
All right.
And then I just want to make sure I say, when the first person's had their turn, then you switch roles. So everyone shares a small challenge and everyone else makes an acknowledgement guess for them. So everyone gets a turn to be person A. All right.
And if you just made a request not to go in a breakout room, then just choose not to go. Or if you get sent, just come on back, just leave the room. So
Yes.
you still have choice.
Yes, thank you. And Peggy, it's going to send you to a room, but if you can just come back to the main room, please.
Okay. And I'll be in the main room to answer questions or chat with people, whatever questions coming up for you.
Yeah, and to, what was the other thing? Yeah, that's good. Okay, I'm going to open all rooms. Lori, did they come up for you now?
No. Are people going?
Yes, and so the equal sign people, I
don't see anybody leaving, Jen.
Okay,
Let me make you the host.
okay, thank you. So we have 100. Do you have any idea, Lori? Did anyone see a request coming up to join a breakout room?
No.
No.
Okay, so I'm gonna hit close all rooms because it clearly didn't quite work.
So what's happening is when we logged in, the feature for enabling breakout rooms was not enabled. So Jen went out, enabled that feature. She's the only one that has it, but I need to make her the host, so it will now happen. How's it going, Jen?
It's okay because I've got everyone sorted. Yeah, they didn't go when I opened the room. So right now it's saying breakout rooms will close in 36 seconds. And we did have one, like a phone person that actually did go into a room. I hope making me host helps. I'm a little concerned it might not. But that's all I can.
May I? May I
What's that?
join a group?
Oh yeah, we're trying to arrange them. We're having a little technical difficulty.
Oh,
so
okay.
just
Twitchiness.
Which are the two authorities that you're asking me about?
I'm kind of curious about torn between authenticity and what you've acculturated for how to be a good wife.
I think that I'm torn between authenticity, that just, I want to be able to be authentic and then be vulnerable and then put my guards down, and also that just need to be tough, and then this is a negotiation, this is not acceptable to me, this and that. I'm just torn between being tough and also vulnerable. These are the two authorities.
Thank you. Thank you, Nushan, so I'm hearing that you were perhaps torn between holding your ground and being vulnerable.
Right. And I've never done that before, to just hold my ground, and this is not acceptable to me. I can't stand this. I've never done that before. And then also my soft nature. So it's been as if like a fight and flight, and also the dissociation and freeze is happening at the same time in my body.
Nushan, I'm wondering if it would be sweet if someone understood how frightened you are right now.
Yeah, it is very frightening. It's a power over, so it's frightening that I will lose my power.
I'm wondering if you're feeling frightened and yearning for authenticity.
Yeah. When I am authentic, things are ease in my body and I'm grounded. Yeah, it makes it easier, feeling more at ease right now. I want to be authentic.
Yeah.
I really
You're
want to be myself.
Nushan, your internet's breaking up a little bit.
Holding my ground is really, is that
It's not much better. I'm
It's
hoping
not-
it will be okay with you if we move to the next person now, because it's hard for us to hear you.
Of course. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah. And I just wanted to point out to other people, I actually switched at the very end to a feelings and needs guess. So you might have noticed, oh, that was a little different. I had a sense inside of me that just as what I call a simple feelings and needs guess would wrap up what Nushan was trying to tell us. So I just wanted to be transparent. Thank you so much, Nushan. Anna.
I hope my internet is fine. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay.
Go far.
So tomorrow I'm going for a trip for the weekend, but there's a lot of things to do, and the day is coming to an end, and I'm trying to be focused, but at the same time I'm stressing out about all the duties I need to accomplish before the end of the day. so that I don't have to do them tomorrow. And somebody has to take care of our cat when we're out and the neighbor's not there. So now I'm also worried about my cat, and I can't be fully present here. And my thoughts keep escaping to all the things I have to do. And it's not really what I like to do now. I would like to be here and now.
Thank you. Anna, would you like acknowledgement for how distracted you are right now?
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if you would like acknowledgement for how much you value care and consideration for you, your cat, and your learning.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna.
Thank you.
Helen. Please come off mute.
Hello.
Yes,
Yeah.
hi.
Hello, thank you for this opportunity. There's somebody at work who makes me feel very uncomfortable and rather frightened. But he's a really nice bloke. It's just his way is quite cocky and he's quite big and tall, and there's something, it's not rational, it's not frightening, but I feel very frightened.
Helen, would your body appreciate acknowledgement for how frightened it is?
Yeah.
His company.
Yeah. It's like when I was saying that, I got really, like I got really just breathing in the top and very tense. And when you said that, all my ribs relaxed. Yeah.
Thank you, Helen. Yeah. Yeah, because what I heard was Helen's left hemisphere was trying to talk her out of her fear. Her body was feeling fear,